Hi there, welcome to another edition of Design Spark Ask the Expert. Today we're going to be talking about AI technology, and I have Eddie Seymour of Nvidia. Hi Eddie, would you like to say hello to Design Spark?
Hi, Greg, and welcome to the Design Spark groups out there. I'm Eddie Seymour. I'm the Business Development Director for here at Nvidia for the embedded and the Jetson product lines.
Fantastic. Eddie, thanks for taking the time out today. AI, there seems to be so much happening. It's always in the news at the moment, and I think we can safely say that AI is ingrained within the general level of conversation these days. You know, whether people understand it or not, most are aware of it. It could be on a personal level, a working level, transactional, and maybe even on a sort of like a health and science level. With that, would you say that AI is with us fully, or are we kind of still at the ground level with a lot more to build from?
Yeah, Greg, I think AI is definitely here and with us now, and I think we had that moment with generative AI in the last few months, that big bang moment where it really hit everybody, whether they knew about it or not. I mean, you could basically activate your chat GPT via a mobile phone, on your PC. I know my youngest son, he was fascinated by it all and was creating all sorts of things on there. So I think that's right. But from NVIDIA's point of view, we've been involved in this AI for several years already. And actually, user cases out there are already, even though you may not be aware of it, they're involved in traffic management, in healthcare, even in some smart city environments, such as airports, where we are trying to maybe people count and simplistic functions like that allow people to monitor and see. In healthcare, certainly through the COVID times, there was a whole multitude of things going on from a COVID point of view, whether we were finding solutions to those sort of problems.
Okay. Now, I just want to go back a little bit. I might be going out on a limb here, but Nvidia first came to the public eye through the world of gaming. You know, the graphics that were in those high performance machines relied heavily on the chips that you guys supplied. Uh, and you kind of really revolutionized the gaming industry, and it was a whole different level of graphics that you brought to the masses. And then with the world of CGI, the movie industry incorporating AI, and also now AI with robotics, you guys are still leading the way. But one thing springs to mind for me is that to deliver that level of performance, you rely both on maybe the hardware and the software. So where do you actually see Nvidia currently in terms of segment? Are you a hardware company? Are you a software company, or are you a conduit of both?
Yeah, Greg, I think we like to see ourselves as a platform provider, and it's great you talk about the gaming. I've been here at Nvidia 21 years, and before that, I was involved in the whole multimedia and gaming activity in the early days. In the days where gaming was quite a simplistic approach, and in perhaps games were not as what we see today. They were triangles and lines and so on. But I think it's important to understand that we're proud of that heritage from a gaming point of view. And by the way, the reason why it came very prevalent is because of GPUs and parallel computing. The GPU allowed us then to create some fantastic games and basically create what we call accelerated computing. And we're still on that journey. Gaming is only one of those areas that accelerated computing made a profounder change. But if we look at it today, the GPU has a whole raft of accelerators in there. We're through multimedia, and you see today video being accelerated. You've been seeing able graphics to be accelerated, and AI is only and added to that of accelerated computing. And that accelerated computing can be both in the cloud, at the enterprise level, or on the edge, where I'm very, very focused for edge-based devices. So, GPUs were easy for consumers, if you want to think about it that way. They could get their gaming graphics card, but they could do other accelerated computing on it and utilize it that way.
Yeah. Is it interesting you were talking about the technology and the development there? That I do have a further point maybe to talk to on that. So this might sound a little strange, but is it true to say that Nvidia is solely a solution provider? What I mean is that you don't really produce the end product, but you rather provide the resources and the hardware for others to create products and services and to advance technology. Now, if that is the case, how does that play into the world of product development within NVIDIA?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we like to pride ourselves as a platform provider, whether it's the gaming platform we just covered, so game developers can build great graphical games on the top of our platform, or we can go to the other extreme where we have the Jetson product, which is at the edge. Again, we provide the Jetson platform. We provide that out to our ecosystem. That could be software development, that could be hardware development, and most of all, it enables creativity from our end customers to create all sorts of devices, whether that be in, uh, smart spaces, robotics, healthcare. We're building those building blocks, and we've provided a whole stack that starts at the basic level, from a hardware platform through to our SDKs, to our tool sets, to enable all of those ecosystems and partners to create whatever product they would like to do on top of that. So it's giving that broad way of allowing people to get onto the AI platform. I like to use the term, it's an a la carte menu. Some of our customers just take the raw dev kit and then develop and build their own software on the top, and that's fine. But if you're don't have those resources, then there's a whole stack on the top of that allows you to get wherever you need to go.
Yeah, that's a really interesting comparison, calling it a la carte. So you can actually pick and choose, dip in and out of what you actually need.
Yep, exactly. And, when you look at our ecosystem, it's very, very broad. RS OKDo is part of our ecosystem, and we can, cover some of that. But, they're a wide and ranging integration of that. And, like I say, they go everything from carrier boards to camera suppliers to software support services that are built on the top of that ecosystem.
Fantastic. So, Eddie, I just want to ask you a couple of more questions. And as we were talking about the AI within in mind of within industry, you were talking about healthcare. That's one that really interests me. So, what industries should we be looking at in the future? So, for myself, healthcare and surgery and all of that kind of aspect of using AI and data together can be seen as a powerful tool when it comes to the world of healthcare, both preventative and actual. Now we're finding that robotic surgery is not science fiction anymore. What are the areas or industries that you see we should be keeping an eye on in the future, or is it too narrow a field just to hone in on one area?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when we started, certainly on the edge business, there was probably a few of what we call the vertical markets that were there. You touched on it. I mean, I think we saw it, what I call, in the static world, certainly in the video analytics area, where people may be having a static camera, and then, they would use that, build a data set from it, and do a particular function, whether it's counting traffic, controlling traffic lights, counting people. These were the very first stage of AI, which I call sort of a static environment. We're now moving to a much more dynamic environment, and you go to the full extent of a self-driverless vehicle. You've got all sorts of sensors that come into play. You've got all sorts of environments to deal with. So they're much more complicated models from an AI point of view. And you said about healthcare. I mean, as I said, I touched on COVID. We saw, acceleration, using AI, I think we wouldn't have got today with the cures and the vaccines that we have out today without having AI modeling coming into that. But I think it's going to touch all vertical aspects from mobile robots to retail. You've seen already the shopping, cashless environment, if you want to think about it that way, or just even not even using your car and a card on a touchpad. It can be you go into the shop, pick up you want, and then go. Smart cities like that. But agriculture and construction is big. Agriculture, farming, we're seeing it all in the area of crops and enabling crops to be more efficient. We've got the services center, and that could be in the area of, let's say, video conferencing, interaction. We're all now in a virtual world as we're doing here. But also things like we're very big in sports analytics, that we're all trying to perform and do things, whether that be amateur or professional. And then I say manufacturing. In that efficiencies, AI is going to play a leading role. So I don't think there's one vertical you can focus on. All of them will encompass AI as we go, further and further into the future.
Yeah, you talked upon two issues there, which I tend to keep an eye on. But one of the ones you talked about was agriculture, and that was one of the kind of first uses of, for me, was the real benefit of AI. So, for example, crop yields. Traditionally a farmer would go out and crop the whole field, but there was probably about 60% of that crop yield was insufficient level of um, ready for consumerism. And they use AI learning, and it's learned the photographs of what the crop should look like at a particular time. So rather than crop the whole field, they would just harvest maybe half of it, and they would come back to the second half in a week's time when everything was okay. And they've gone from something like 50-60% of yield to nearly on to 100% of yield. So for me, that was really a great way of kind of emphasizing how AI is helping in the complexity within industries. Sports science is definitely another area for AI with the development in there. It's within the kind of the athletics or the kind of physical sports where you need a lot of data to make sure that people are returning back to levels. They're not overexerting themselves. They're not overstressing. A lot of AI is being developed and used for that. So they're two really areas where I see AI being used really extensively. I do want to go back to the partnership. You mentioned RS OKdo. So Nvidia and OKdo have a partnership. Could you just tell me a little bit more about the Nvidia products that OKdo are offering users to develop AI applications, but also why is the Nvidia and OKdo partnership important to you guys?
Yeah, Greg, it's been a great relationship. We've been a partner now with the OKdo RS family for about 4 years. I think why we were excited with working with you guys, we're using our Jetson development kit. That partnership, you had a very special place in the market, certainly with developers, researchers, your long history in that maker and community and integrator world. So it fitted really well with our Jetson development kit. The reach you have with the Design Spark community really flows very, very well. So I think that coupled with your desire to understand more in the AI world, the Jetson platform and the Jetson development kit gave you that momentum to do that. So I think that's where it really strengthened our partnership.
Great, fantastic. Eddie, I appreciate your time today, but I do have one more question for you.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking of a few years back, there was a massive graphics chip shortage. So many people started to use the more powerful processing capabilities within the graphics cards for Bitcoin mining, crypto mining. Now, has there been uses for your products that have surprised you and perhaps applications that you haven't actually considered?
Yeah, I mean, certainly on the edge devices. I mean, we have this basically partnerships that we call Inception at Nvidia. This is working very closely with the startup community. So things that still, I mean, I'm amazed by many areas that AI is touching. They go everything from, monitoring people falling into swimming pools. That's probably one that really surprised me a little while ago. To all sorts of maybe strange labor saving devices that perhaps working. I think the other side we also somewhat forget, Greg, is that when we have one of these big inflection points, we talk a lot about the technology, but also the way that business models are changing and how we consume this type of technology. If you look at the mobile phone today, we tend to use it as our handheld computer. We have all of our apps, all of our information on that. That's no different for AI. I think we will probably consume. You see, most of these startups providing it as a service. Rather than just buying something off the shelf like perhaps we did with a washing machine or a TV. So I think we have both those two to consider, both the technology and how, as us consumers and as those business units develop, that will develop over time.
Eddie, it's been great talking to you today. We could probably go on for forever talking about AI. There's so much to consider, but we've touched on a few flavors today, and I really do appreciate your time spending with Design Spark, and I hope we can have you on again real soon.
Thank you, Greg. It's been a pleasure.